When I'm dead, tennis hard time. Let's say it, hang on the shade. All together now, time the kangaroo down. Sport, time the kangaroo down. Time the kangaroo down. Sport, time the kangaroo down.
JT is Reborn. Today we're reviewing the Wolf Creek series.
1 and 2.
It's an Australian horror series that takes place in the outback.
It's basically based on like the backpack killer.
Yeah.
Who murdered people in the 90s.
Yeah. It happened. The real events happened in the 90s. So the first movie takes place in 1999.
The second one, we're not entirely sure. Like a few years later, we'll just assume based on.
We know that the second one takes place in the 2000s because it's actually based on events that happened in the 2000s. So that's what we'll go with on that one.
Okay.
So the first one is actually I thought it was a pretty good movie. I know that I know it's very slow paced, but
extremely.
I really did enjoy it though, because what really makes this movie is Mick Taylor. I think that character really,
he's so evil. You just want to spit on the screen.
He is. Okay, so for me, I mean, I'm gonna give the first one I'm going to be totally honest here. I know I put this high up on a pedestal, but for real purposes, I'm going to say I'm going to give the first movie a 7 out of 10. I'm going to say it's a solid movie. It's not perfect, but it's a good movie, and I did enjoy it. So what do you think about the movie?
I didn't like the first one. Frankly, I thought aside from the guy John Jarratt, who plays Mick Taylor, the movie was terrible. I did not like any single solitary moment. I mean, it's basically like, one thing that bugs me about the movie though is just like, okay, so these people, I know it's based on true events. I mean, of course they change things around for the movie. Well, something I don't get is like, they set up these girls who are getting tortured the most, and then they're the ones who get killed. Spoiler alert here. And the one guy who gets like the least amount of everything escapes, and that's just about it. Like, there's no redemption at all in this movie, I'd say, for any of like the people involved. And I do admit it's extremely slow. I mean, I just felt like I didn't really feel like anything watching this movie, whereas the second one I actually enjoyed because it was more like a suspense, like on the hunt type movie, and it was more about the chase. This one I'm just like, I didn't feel anything. Like, it really didn't leave me with anything aside from John Jarratt, who plays Mick Taylor, who does a good job here. Is this like demented crocodile Dundee, who you just absolutely want to spit on the screen and punch him square in his face, because he's really good in this movie. That's just about it.
One thing I want to point out is so many people have different opinions about the Wolf Creek series. Like, if you talk to certain people, they like the first one more than the second one, and some people like the second one more than the first one. It depends on who you are, right?
Yeah, some people just don't like the first one, and like me, like the second one.
Yeah, I mean, like, some people love the first one. Like, I've talked to an Australian, and he absolutely loves the first one. He hates the second one. I don't understand that, because I think the second movie is so much better than the first one. Like, story-wise. I mean, so let's talk about the second one. What did you think of the second film?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. It starts out pretty good. Came out like last year, started this year. He's back. Basically, we'll just call him Mick Crocodile Dundee Taylor. Is back in his role. And the beginning of the movie is pretty cool. How these cops just pull him over. He's like, "Do you really want to do that?" And after seeing what this guy was able to do in the first movie, You're like, hey, you're screwed. Then he shoots them, he blows up their cop car. This guy, like, you're just fucked whenever this guy comes around. So, none of the other characters from the first movie are in this aside from him. So basically, what happens is people once again go on Wolf Creek. It's basically the same thing. People go travel there, they get hunted down. But this one, what I enjoyed more is like most of the movie is the chase. So at the beginning of the movie, some people go to Wolf Creek. I like how it kind of jumps from person to person, but you don't really get to know any of these people except the one guy who I actually kind of liked.
Yeah. I was just going to say that, like, I felt like in this movie, I felt like, the first movie, I felt like Mick was the strongest character, where in this movie, I feel like there's more stronger characters in this film.
Mick and the main lead, I can't remember his name.
He's amazing.
I liked it because he was basically on the hunt and he was like outwitting him in certain areas. But it was a fun chase though. That's what I liked about this one. It was brighter, it had more action in it. Whereas the first movie, it's like, good God, we're 50 minutes. It felt like an hour into the movie until it actually, like, the plot kept going. It's just like, it was extremely slow and dull, especially in that beginning. I mean, I'm all for, like, suspenseful build-up, but it didn't build suspense until he comes into the screen.
This one's like pure action. Like, it's like you're on the edge of your seat throughout the whole movie. You never know what's going to happen.
And like I said, I think it was really good up until the one guy gets caught and then they have like their game of wits thing. I think like after that it kind of went down a bit because I was just enjoying the chase. Like there's one part where the guy like he's like, haha, you didn't kill me, asshole, and then he just launches a semi truck at him. That was pretty good.
I really liked the torture scene though. Like when he captures him, like I thought it was really well done.
No, that scene was good. Like I said, I like the second one. I don't like the first one at all.
When he was asking him those like 10 questions, like, and he was getting them right, and he was still torturing him, you're like, what an ass, you know? Like,
yeah, and then the guy ends. He's like loser, and then basically he gets put in asylum. But like the end of the movie, it's basically the same thing as the first. But I feel like they should do a third and final one. This guy. The thing is, like with movies like this, the villain has to get what's coming. They have to. It's like you can't just build up a villain and just have him just walk away like that.
Do you feel like there is going to be a third movie? Because like they made it like feel like there's going to be a third one.
I don't know. Did it really make enough money? I think it only made like 5.
I mean it was really popular and like like DVD and like Blu-ray sales like the second film. So there might be another one.
Yeah, I think they should just end it. Like kill this guy. This guy you just want to spit on the screen. He was more enjoyable in the second movie too. The first movie, it just felt like, I don't know, it just felt like so like really drawn out. See, in this one felt brighter, as you can tell, because they shot in the day more. It had more energy behind it, whereas the first one, they're just like.
Oh yeah, I mean, like the Outback like plays a character almost in this movie. Like, I mean, like the scenery is like fantastic in this film, and like the first one, the scenery was kind of cool, but like in this film, it looks like beautiful. Like it's beautifully shot, and the action scenes are amazing. I mean, that scene with him in the truck, hitting all those CGI kangaroos, like that was funny.
Yeah, and he just keeps going. The chase is the best thing about this movie, and you just don't know what's going to happen next. It had more of a darker sense of humor. As the first one, you're just like, good God, this is just like sad.
You know what I loved about the CGI kangaroos though? Is that they had shots of real kangaroos and then they cut to the CGI ones getting hit by the bus. So it kind of felt like authentic, but not at the same time. Like a lot of times in movies, they just do full CGI, where in this one they were like practical and CGI.
Which was nice.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like when they do like deers in movies, you're like, oh, that's a CGI deer. But when you see like a real kangaroo and then you see it get hit, and then it turns CGI, then it feels more authentic to me. I don't know. I mean, I liked how they did it. Like, I thought it was, like, perfectly done. And it was freaking hilarious, like, the scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the best part of the movie is where he launches the truck off of. But, like I said, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, the truck scene, it's so amazing. I mean, I love how it's shot. I love how when he's like, you missed me, and then like he throws the truck down the hill. I mean, that part was amazing.
I'd say the strong point of the movie is when the one guy is introduced, the guy in the rides in the Jeep. From like the beginning, I'm like, okay, I like the scene with the cops, and then like you got these backpackers, and then Mick just cuts him up. He's like, he does that laugh. He's like, it sounds like it's like a pig or something like that.
So what would you give Wolf Creek 2 out of 10?
Okay, first let's go back to the first one. For the first movie, you know what? I'm on my Bret Hart shit here. 4 out of 10. I didn't like it. Only redeeming quality is the guy who plays Mick Taylor, John Jarratt, who does a really good job as this Crocodile Dundee type stalker. You know, when he does his laugh like, and he does this pig sounds. The guy you just want to spit on the screen and punch him in the face.
Yeah.
In a good way, not like because it's an obnoxious character, but because you just like are so disgusted at like a human being like this could exist, you know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I'm gonna give like the first one a solid 7 out of 10 because I really do enjoy it and I really do like Mick Dundee in it, but like at the same time,
Mick Taylor, you were calling him Dundee.
Yeah, well, that's his nickname, Mick Dundee.
Mick Crocodile Dundee Taylor.
Me and Brian, we call him that, but it's really Mick Taylor. That's our little, joke,
Mm-hmm.
But Mick Taylor, like, I love his character. I think that, like, he's just amazing. I mean, he's, like, pure evil. He's, like, the evil version of Crocodile Dundee. That's what me and Brian said.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think he's amazing in the first movie, but I do agree with you. The first one's much slower, and there's a lot less action. And none of the characters really stand up to him. Like none of them.
Like it just felt like I just was watching people getting tortured. Like that's really what I saw. I mean, there was no substance to it. Like there was no chase. There was no build up to anything. There was no like it just felt like okay, they just got drugged, and then we just watch them get tortured. And I'm sorry, I don't really enjoy just watching somebody get tortured.
Yeah.
Just for like 20, 30 minutes straight through, unless there's like something being added to it. Like at least in Saw, it was a game. You know what I mean? Like they could they choose their own path. Here it's just I'm just watching these girls just get mutilated and stuff. And it wasn't like in a like Halloween type way where there was kind of just the theme, just some or like Friday the 13th, where it had some fun or substance in it or something like that. This was just straight up just torture. Nothing else behind.
I still enjoyed it though. I really liked it. I mean, I thought it was the chase in the first one was okay, but like the chase in the second one definitely tops the first one. We both can admit on that.
Yeah, like I said, the second one, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I suppose that's fair because, like I said, I don't think it's perfect, but it's definitely a lot better than the first movie, at least in my eyes. Like I said, film is subjective. Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
For me, I'm going to give it a whole 10 out of 10 because I enjoyed the first one so much. Like, it's a movie that you can enjoy watching, like, you would want to watch it over again. Where the first one's pretty depressing, you know what I mean? Where this one is depressing, but there is so much going on that you want to watch it. There's so many cool chase scenes in it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This one's kind of like Terminator 1, Terminator 2. Terminator 2 is like pure action. This one's like pure action. You know what I mean? That's kind of
Terminator 1's good action. I think you're thinking more like Aliens.
Well, I enjoy both of them, actually. But what I'm trying to say is, like, this one is just pure, action / horror, where the first one is just, like, horror. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I enjoyed about this one, because it is kind of like an action, like, horror film. And I really liked it. I mean, I'm going to give it 10 out of 10. Mick Taylor is, I just like his performance in this. And the main guy in the second movie, like, him and Mick Taylor, like, they really had chemistry on set. Like, you knew, like, stuff was going down type thing. This is the only guy who really stood up to Mick Taylor.
Yeah, that's what I liked. Like, he still called him Luke. Like, he almost, it was like a game between, he was the closest to beating him. Like I said, if they do a third one, Mick Taylor has to die. I want to see this guy get his ass beat substantially and finally get killed in the end. I don't want to see him walk off into the sunset. It's not redeeming enough for me as a film goer. It's like in a lot of these franchises, like you got to have a satisfying ending to the series. Like, as much as like, we'll give an example. For instance, like Freddy's dead. Like as much as you hate the movie, Freddy got what was coming to him. I mean, although they had like the other sequels and stuff, but like that was that. He done. You know what I mean? Killed.
Yeah.
This one, it's just like you gotta get. You can build. You're building something up. I understand saving him for another movie, but he needs to get killed. He needs to be beaten. There needs to be a conclusion to this series. Like make it a trilogy, okay? Like series like the Paranormal Activity series. It's the same beef I have. They need to have like a satisfying ending where the evil gets beat. You've built it up for so long. You've teased so many people. It needs to end, and it needs to satisfy the audience.
It's a rare case where the sequel is better than the original. But I would say in this case, the sequel is better than the original. For me and you, right?
Yeah.
For other people, they like the original better. But for you and I, we thought that the sequel was just much more better because the first one's slow-paced, the second one's fast-paced. It has a totally different pace to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels different, but it uses that character, Mick Taylor, almost to, like, its maximum, like, extent. You know what I mean? Like,
he's basically like, tourists are the vermin. He's here to, like, kill them. He's like, you're vermin. I'm getting you out of here. You have no reason to be here. Get off my fucking property.
And there's so many good scenes in this. Like, when Mick Taylor gets on the horse and he's just, like, whipping him. Like, there's so many good scenes. The truck scene. I could go on and on about all the really great action scenes in this movie. But what was your favorite action scene?
Like I said, I like the semi was probably my favorite part. And I like how the one guy is just like goes to the house or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, we'll take care of you." Then Mick shows up. I need the boys. Like, get the fuck off my property. And the guy gets shot. The wife gets shot. And then he just rides the horse and just catches the guy. I did like the scene where they were, like, talking about their drunk history. Or, like, they were singing songs and stuff. And he's like, I'll let you live if you can answer these questions. And he was writing his questions. But, like, you know, he was twisting the answers.
Yeah, I mean, he gives him, like,
and then he meets that, like, deformed, malnourished, like, girl. Like, there's, like one of those skeletons that, like, comes back to life or something.
Yeah, his house of horrors, basically.
And, like, traps and stuff. And he does survive, which is good. But, yeah.
Yeah, and it gives much more in-depth, like, feel to, like, Mick Taylor, where in the first film, you didn't really feel like you knew Mick Taylor. Where in this one, you're like, okay, now I've gone into, like, his house of horrors. I know, like, who this guy is. I know that he's a complete, like, psycho.
Yeah, but you actually get more of his motivations in this one.
Yeah, like...
I feel like we've rambled on a lot about, like, the second one more than the first. I mean, like, the plot's, like I said, based on the backpack killer killings, kidnaps people, kills them. This one's more of, like, he like, he's like the Predator, you know what I mean? From, like, Predator, he wants to hunt.
And I like how, like, both films are, like, based on, like, real events that happen in Australia, in Outback.
Although
like,
these are, like, exaggerated, obviously, for the film.
Yeah.
But, like,
I mean, like, different serial killers, like, they took little parts and they put those in the film. I like that. I thought that was kind of clever, because it makes you want to watch it even more if you know it's, like, kind of like a true story kind of thing. But I know that a lot of it's made up in the second film. But they used some stuff that did happen in the movie. And I thought that was pretty cool how they did that. I would like to see a third movie and see where they go with that. You know what I mean?
I'd like to see a third movie and then end it. Give me the ending I want, because this guy, this Mick Taylor, good performance, but he's so good that you want to, like, spit on the screen and see him get his ass kicked.
Yeah, okay. So, definitely. So you give this one a 7 out of 10. You gave the first one a 4 out of 10.
Yep.
And myself, I gave the first one a 7, and this one a 10 out of 10. So that's what we're giving it. And have an awesome night, everyone.
Hello, I'm Sexy Danny 21 Awesome. Today I'm here with AJ Punk 15, and we're talking about the Wolf Creek series. I'm going to start off with the original Wolf Creek 1. What did you think of that movie?
Was kind of bland, and I guess it's because they just weren't great actors. Other than the main character Mick Taylor, played by John Jarratt, he was very well done. I absolutely loved his character. You didn't know by watching the movie for the first half hour or so if he was actually bad or not until he actually went out and killed people. And for me, it was just a fun, entertaining movie to watch him and the people around him squirm when he was around. He was almost like an apex predator style person. He was like a hunter, but he was also this deranged, normal person, everyday Joe that I really enjoyed watching. The setting itself was really, really cool and original. Just to see someone out in the outback itself, which we never actually seen before in a horror film, and going around and planning all these attacks and making him seem like he was this nice guy that'll help out anyone, which is kind of cool, and we've seen it done before, but his take on it I really enjoyed. Just the perfect psychotic outback killer that we could ask for.
Yeah.
He could, whoever invented the character, it was just very, very well done. It had some nice scenery and stuff in the film too, some of the shots were really well done from the cinematographer. I really enjoyed the score when he's chasing people around and stuff. And it just had a really cool twist to the washed up. It's crazy that they actually based it off real events and real places. And it's really cool to see, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I would give this film a solid 4.5 out of 5 when it comes to slashers.
Yeah, the director said that he always felt that the scenery of the outback was like another character that was part of the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really was. It had its own unique style to it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just like this everyday, street or woods. It had its own...
Vince thing was probably the hook for everybody for the movie,
I mean, most of the time it is. I mean, you look at the Blair Witch Project. When that movie first came out, it said based on real events, even though it wasn't, and everyone wanted to see this in theater, and everyone thought it was the scariest movie since The Exorcist.
Yeah.
And I think when a movie says that it's based on real events or real places, it really brings its own little unique...
I mean, there are events that did take place that the movie did base it on, which I think is really interesting. I can't go into details about that, but I know that both Wolf Creek 1 and Wolf Creek 2 did have actual real events in them. So, I mean, that's pretty cool that the director did that. I mean, he's a really good director, the guy who made Wolf Creek 1. He went on to direct Rogue, which is one of Spider Jack Angel's favorite movies. So, I mean, I think he has a really good eye for, just doing cinematography, script writing. I mean, he really gets, down to it when he makes a horror film, pretty much.
Yeah, for sure. He knows what he's doing.
Let's talk about Wolf Creek 2. What did you think of that film?
Not as good as the first one. I'm going to get this out of the way right away. I'm just going to get the negative out of the way because I really liked the film itself. It's just some things that bothered me in the film is they made him too quirky, too one-linery, kind of like what the Elm Street films did with Freddy Krueger. They kind of took his style and expanded on it too much and made him this bland character. Yes, Mick was back in this film, and it was awesome. The opening scene with the police officers was absolutely awesome. It had some great kills in this movie, some unique takes on the death scenes, and we've seen it all before in the first film, but somehow they managed to come up with a brand new idea in the same location with the same character, but make it fresh and unique, and I applaud them for that. The ending scene was just immaculate. Every minute of that was so intense. But the one thing I didn't like about that ending is just I don't want to do any spoilers, so spoiler alert. Going after him, I understand that the character itself was just as smart as Mick, and that's what they were going for. Someone who was equally intelligent, would laugh, but he wasn't there to not kill you. That was his whole idea. He wanted you to get inside with your clique and just boom. Dive in deep and go for the throat.
Yeah, I mean, Spider Jack Angel and I had conversations about this. We Spider Jack Angel said, you know, he let a guy go in the first movie, but he didn't. That guy just got away because he was busy with the other people. You know what I mean?
Like he didn't mean to let him go. It's just he has more fish to fry.
Where he was going to let him go eventually. So I mean, that's what I thought was pretty interesting. I mean, I didn't know that it was going to end that way, which I like when I watch horror films because I want to have an unexpected ending. And I mean, if he did kill him, I would kind of expect that. But with this ending, you know what I mean? It kind of made it more unexpected. I know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
it was unexpected, but for myself, I'm not being biased against the first film, second film by no means.
Yeah.
But for the second one, I was expecting a little bit more with the intensity that it brought up to this point.
The second movie. The first movie has a very slow vibe, and it's like a slow burn, right?
It's a very Ty West style film when it comes to the pace of the film,
Yeah, and like the second one is like very fast paced. It's almost like an action movie / horror. It was
more action than horror in some ways.
It has a different style to it, but like at the same time, I kind of want to make it fresh. I guess that's why the second one feels like a lot like an action film. I mean, I love the chase scenes, like when he's trying to get that guy. Like, there's some crazy scenes, like with the huge truck and stuff. Like, what are your? Did you have some?
Well, slowly aims and blows his freaking head off, and it was great to see. Like his head just kind of falls to the side, and the other guy's driving. He's like, "What the fuck?" And it's really, it's really cool to see. And then to see him like towards the end of the film, he's torturing the guy. He's cutting off his fingers, I think, or something like that. It was very intense scenes.
Yeah.
But there was no suspense to build up these scenes. It was just like we knew it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that took me for a little bit. I was like, I wasn't expecting that. For the first film, there was a lot of suspense and tension building up to the kills, each kill. And it was almost like it was a cat and mouse game. But for this one itself, it was like it kind of did what Scream did. It had like an opening scene with this person you're following around, Drew Barrymore in this case, and he killed it off really early. But I think what they failed to do in Wolf Creek 2 was to do that and kill that person off early because they let it go on a little bit too long, and then they brought this new character in, and you didn't really care for him at all. Like, we got to see the intense scene in the cave with Mick and him answering the 10 questions, but really, for a build-up, you didn't care about that person. It was just like, okay, he's just going to kill this guy, and he'll probably kill another guy before the movie's over.
It was quite a twist, though. It was quite a twist, though, because you thought the girl was going to be the main character, and he didn't end up being the main character. It's almost like it's almost like the director was trying to fight, because he was trying to mess with people.
There's been a lot of different films with a male lead in a horror film.
Yeah.
Some of them work, some of them don't.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason it is, I think it's the way you care about the character itself. If you see a young girl, like in Halloween, the original Halloween, she's just every day for this person.
Yeah.
But in this case, the character that you should care for dies halfway through the film, and he introduced another man, and we don't get that build-up with him. And that's one of the...
Myself, I enjoyed the second one more, but I understand why some fans would enjoy the first one more. I mean, here's the thing, right? You're either going to like the first one more, or you're going to like the second one more. It's kind of like...
There's always someone who's going to like the first more than the second more than the first. I mean...
It reminds me of the Terminator.
Same with every single film, right?
It reminds me of the Terminator, how, like, some people like the first Terminator more than the second one. You know what I mean? Because, like, I like them equally, but, like...
I'm a huge fan of Terminator 2 over Terminator 1.
I would pick 2 over 1 any day, but I still like 1, for what it is.
It's a great film, yeah. James Cameron did an amazing job.
See, that's what I mean, though, like, or like Alien 1 and Alien 2, versus Aliens.
Yeah.
That's kind of like...
It's hard to pick.
That's kind of like what this is, So I think that a lot of people are either going to enjoy the sequel or they're not.
Yeah.
It just depends on what your taste is.
You're a comparison there from Alien 1 and Aliens to Wolf Creek 1 and Wolf Creek 2. I think it was a spot on comparison because Aliens was this intense, suspense-filled movie. You don't get to see the actual alien until very close to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. Introduced characters, we cared for them, and then boom, the album got killed off. Wolf Creek 2 comes in as action-packed horror film.
Yeah.
And I think you're either gonna like Wolf Creek 2 or you're gonna hate it. That's well, not hate it, but that's the way I think a lot of horror fans will look at this film. They're gonna think, I'm gonna go in. It's gonna be a really like good gory time, but it's more or less an action horror flick, more so than the suspense it brought to the first one.
But I know what you really enjoy is the character of Mick Taylor, and that's why you enjoyed the second one, is because you enjoy that character, and you want a third movie to happen, right? So
I totally agree. If a third one comes out, I'm sure I'll be right there to watch it. I mean, I was probably one of the only handful of people to see Wolf Creek 2 months ago before it even came out to DVD and Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was very lucky and fortunate to see this early. So I really,
I hope
really am happy with that.
I hope there's going to be a third one, too, because I would like to see them just, like, wrap it up and have, like, a proper ending. Because the first two movies don't really have an ending. Where I'm hoping that in the third one, they come up with, like, a really amazing ending, you know, to, like, the series.
We want something a little bit better. We need something to clue it up for the ending-wise. We don't want just, like, the Incredible Hulk walking off in the sunset, hitchhiking kind of deal. We want an actual ending. I think that's what fans want for these films.
And I hope that they do make a third movie, because I can't wait for that. So, I mean, that's our review for it. So we're going to give Wolf Creek 1 out of 10.
4.5 out of 5 for sure. I really enjoyed Wolf Creek 1. It brought a fresh take to the slasher genre, and I absolutely enjoyed it from start to begin.
So the sequel, it's top notch.
Yeah, Mick Taylor was just what I wanted him to be. Maybe too funny in sometimes, but he was still the character I got to know. Yeah.
All right, well, we're both going to say check out this movie, and hammer on that.
Do a joint review of the two Wolf Creek films. Wolf Creek, that me and sexy Danny 21 Awesome is wearing the same shirt. I mean, this is totally a coincidence here. We had no idea that each of us was going to wear the same shirt, and it's just so freaking funny, at least from my pinpoint perspective. So, if you can move out of the way and look past that, I'm going to be talking about Wolf Creek 1. Now, let me throw this out there. I did not like Wolf Creek 1 that much. I thought it was a boring film. The film took a little bit too long to get off the ground. But however, you know, with the fact that the film fully focuses on three individuals, you know, these individuals, the killer of the film basically, you know, picks them off one by one. And overall, I would just say the first Wolf Creek just wasn't that good. I mean, yeah, the actor that plays Mick Taylor did do a good job in it, but it just wasn't my type of film. I thought it was kind of boring. The ending was just a fair. You know, it definitely was something that needed a little bit of improvement. And with that being said, if I was going to rank Wolf Creek 1, I'd probably give the first Wolf Creek most likely a 4 out of 10. I didn't like it that much. It was an okay film, but I just didn't care for it that much. And if I had to say probably my favorite death in the film, it probably breaks her back, I believe, and then gets the information of where the other girl's at. You know, that was probably my favorite, you know, creepy type death in the film. But, you know, overall, it just wasn't something I would come back to.
I mean, for me, like, personally, like, Sean and I discussed this, and, JT is Reborn and I discussed this, and we said that we felt like the first Wolf Creek, the most strong character in that movie was Mick Taylor, and like the actresses and the actor in that film weren't as strong, you know, as the people in like the second film. You know what I mean?
Well, like, let's not talk about the second film until we get on to the second film, okay? Sexy Danny 21 Awesome.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out.
I know you did. But, however, moving on to the second movie, I would have to say the second Wolf Creek film was a lot more interesting due to the fact that it got off the ground a lot more faster. They didn't really go for the full build-up that the first Wolf Creek did. You basically knew Mick Taylor was this killer, and pretty much the first, part of the film, he kills 2 cops, and, if I was, going to say that the cops, didn't really have it coming, I would be lying, because they really did. I don't want to say, killing cops is a good thing, because it's definitely not. I would not condone it, but however,
yeah.
And, they just basically screwed with the wrong Australian, and that person killed those 2 cops. Now, what makes Wolf Creek 2 a lot more different than 1 is that Mick Taylor's character is pretty much the full force of this film, meaning that you follow him more than you do in the first film, because he gets introduced in the first film, I want to say, middle, I would say. And in this film, you get introduced to him right away, and the main protagonist in the film really doesn't get introduced into the film until, the middle of the movie, where, the first film introduced the 3 protagonists right at the beginning, and this one introduced it kind of, right in the middle, sort of the way that they introduced Mick Taylor in the first one.
I thought the girl was going to be the protagonist in the film, and then I found out that...
Well, in Netflix, which I watched, no, basically what the Netflix basically said, if I recount it correctly, they basically make the Germans seem like they're going to be the main characters in the film, but no, they're not.
Yeah.
And I would probably say Wolf Creek 2 is pretty much everything the first one should have been. It's very violent. It is disturbing. Yeah. It does have, very creepy moments to it. The guy that plays Mick Taylor, I have to say, comes across a lot more creepier in the second film than he does in the first one. And also, I'd probably say that there were moments in the second Wolf Creek that were a little bit funny here and there.
That's what I mean. It has comical, dark undertones, and it's sick, and it's twisted, and it's pure horror.
But also, however, would that basically would I rank it up there with me saying it's a great film?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't rank the film or anything like that. But however, with these Wolf Creek films, the first one and the second one, both of them end relatively in the same sort of fashion, just maybe a little bit different. And it will be interesting to see if the actor that plays Mick Taylor is going to come back for a third one, if they're even going to do a third one, because I feel like with as much, body count that he, had in the second film, that compared to the first one, a lot of people, as I believe Bloody Disgusting pointed this out, a lot of people probably, are wondering why these people are disappearing / getting killed. And it would be interesting if the third one, you come across a group that's actually maybe hunting Mick Taylor down, and he basically, maybe has to figure out a way to survive for himself. But, however, I don't know if they're going to do a third one, or even if that's going to be...
was that a rumor on Bloody Disgusting about a third movie?
No. I'm just taking a guess by the way the second one ended.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, actually, what you said.
But, however, if I was going to rank Wolf Creek 2, I would give it a solid 7. It's a good film. I don't know if it would be one that I would probably buy. Yeah. But, it was still a good film nonetheless. It definitely kept me, enjoying it all the way until the end. And I would probably say that the actor that does Mick Taylor is probably the strong point of both films. So
yeah, he's like the guy who plays Mick Taylor. He's so iconic, because when I think of Australian horror, I'm gonna think of Mick Taylor. He's the one thing that pops in my head when I think Australian horror movies. And I've seen a couple Australian horror films, but this is my favorite out of all of them. I gotta say that.
I wouldn't say it's my my favorite, I'd probably still go back to the movie Rogue, which was about a crocodile.
Same director, right? Same director.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy who directs Wolf Creek is a really good director. I mean, he's done some good movies. I mean, like you were saying that was your favorite Australian horror film that he also did. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion right there. But
yeah.
That's pretty cool, though, that the same director did that movie.
A little, just throwing it out there, I know this is going to be a spoiler, so just be forewarned, this is a spoiler for anybody that hasn't seen Rogue, but the first person to die in Rogue is actually the guy that plays Walt Longmire.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I want to watch that movie. I haven't checked that one
he's
out
like
yet.
I shouldn't say he's the first to die because, you know, he was basically the first out of this group of people that basically were on this tour and everything like that. Like, he was the first out of the group of people, like, when they basically see that this boat is wrecked and they go to explore it, you know. But, however, that's a whole other discussion right there.
I mean, so what are some of your favorite, like...
I'd probably say the mind game thing near the end of the film. That was really good. I also like the part, although this is really stupid as well, but the part where the main protagonist basically takes refuge in that old people's home and all that stuff, and then basically the one guy, you know, goes up with a gun and basically threatens Mick Taylor and tells him to leave, and then when he eventually comes back in, he hears a noise and he goes to explore and notice that the second gun is gone, and you know, he's just like, oh shit, and then basically gets his head blown off.
Yeah, we get, you know, as you said, we get to see a lot more of Mick Taylor in this movie, and one of my favorite scenes is, you know, the scene where he's in the truck, you know, and he just throws that truck down at him. He's like, "You missed me," and I mean, that scene's awesome. And
well, you can tell, like, certain parts of the film, the actor that plays Mick Taylor's just having a ball of a time just by the way he's acting.
He's just having the greatest night of his life, you know?
Yeah, it's just like another day on set for him. He's just like, yeah, you know, this is actually really, really fun playing this character.
Yeah, I love the part where he hits the kangaroos, too. Like, you know, the CGI kangaroos. That was hilarious.
Roadkill caught on tape there.